Pushing someone's face into a cake as a joke. Some cakes have little wooden spikes inside to support the cake. Saw a post where a girl's face was gored by one of these. Oh my god, this happened to my uncle when he was a kid. It was Easter and my grandma made one of those cakes in the shape of a lamb, with the head held up by toothpicks. My uncle's younger sister thought it would be funny to shove his face in the cake, and lo and behold, he got a toothpick to the eye. Ended up losing his right eye and had to wear a glass one. Walking along the train tracks. It's crazy how fast millions of pounds of freight can sneak up on you. A nurse. I had a teenage girl come from home economics class. She was sewing and had a pin between her lips. I mean, who hasn't done that? She sucked it in and it got lodged in her throat. While waiting for a scope, she felt it dislodge and went deep into her main bronchial. She required major surgery. Had a young boy running with a toothbrush in his mouth. Got jammed way deep, almost hit a major artery. A human bite. I worked at a kindergarten and one kid was sometimes super sweet but sometimes really mean. He could switch in a second. While I was naming the coloring pages they were about to get, he walked up to me and bit me in the arm. Didn't think it was through, cause no blood. But it started swelling and getting red and the marks were clearly there. Went to the doc right after my shift. He explained a human bite is the second most dangerous bite there is. Got antibiotics but they didn't work. Arm just kept swelling and getting completely dark purple over 2 days. Doctor sent me to the hospital where I got strong antibiotics. Basically everything in me was cleaned with that shit, felt weak for months. If it didn't start working by that night, I'd have to come back and be hospitalized to get my underarm removed. I've shat some bricks there. Never thought a kid's bite could cause this. Luckily the swelling got less and the bruise stopped spreading, so I still have my arm, but that was very close. Edit, for the people who asked me if I punished the kid, his parents did that for me. My co-worker reported the incident to the parents and it was one of his last days there as they were moving. This was planned before he bit me. His parents were really sorry and a few days later when I worked again, it was the last time I'd see him and the parents brought him towards me because they wanted him to apologize. My arm was still fairly swollen and purple at that point and he was absolutely shocked that he had been the cause of that. He apologized with tears in his eyes and actually hugged me. He promised me never to bite anyone again. Apparently he had bitten his family and even other children before. So far no one had gotten an infection apart from me. And I really think he meant that. Still had a good day with him, but was still pretty mad as I was scared my antibiotics stopped working or something. But now that I think back on him, he's not a bad kid, just a troubled mind that didn't get the right treatment. But a scare not the less. Oil painting in a closed studio. What happens? The solvents in the paint evaporate over time and the fumes can become toxic or explosive if they aren't ventilated properly. Not to mention how toxic paint can be. Especially cadmium-based colors, and most of the whites, lead, and titanium particularly. Riptide and 4 feet waves. My friend drowned at the beach from a sneaker set. Terrible. Pool covers. It's like being wrapped in a bedsheet underwater. You cannot get free and you cannot scream for help. Once you're in, the only way to get out is to be incredibly lucky and get free, or have faith that someone saw or heard you fall in and hope that they get you in time. It's a lengthy, terrifying death that's completely avoidable. Having a loose animal in the car. A safety instructor once told me doctors had to dig dog bones out of a person after it got between them and an airbag. Having a small snack before a medical procedure that requires anesthesia. Intubation can cause you to throw up your food and you can choke. Oceanside cliff, blowholes. People think they're so much fun to stand around and play with. You fall into one of those things, you aren't getting out. The waves will just bludgeon you against the rocks until you die, or you're lucky enough to drown first. Kids picking flowers in the park. I am a conservation technician for a county park system. At least once a year I have to stop parents with kids picking flowers off the trail because I see kids with either poison hemlock, one of the deadliest plants if ingesting even a tiny amount, or wild parsnip, which can cause some serious permanent scarring, burns, and boils if the sap gets onto your skin and is exposed to sunlight. Don't let your kids pick or eat anything you aren't 100% sure of. Mandolin slicer. Use the handguard. Or lose a thumb. Confined spaces, above ground or worse, below the surface. If you do urban exploration, caving, or anything like that, get a 4-gas detector, clip it to your chest or belt, and set the alarm to maximum. If it makes a sound, get the fuck out or you are going to die. Eating raw or undercooked kidney beans can make you very sick or even kill you. It only takes like 3 undercooked kidney beans to ruin your day. Ooh. I once ate a full bowl of kidney beans that I didn't cook for long enough, and I also didn't let them swell in water beforehand as you should. I had the most insane puking, diarrhea, cold sweat, shivering fit toilet session ever. Cat scratch fever. Yeah, the song is pretty cool, but that's about it. A stray cat scratched my dad one time and fucked his shit up. I got Bartonella as a teenager, and was part of the 0.0001% who get it and have no symptoms other than literally going blind. Woke up one morning and couldn't see out of my right eye. Took a few months to diagnose, got some fun steroid infusions, and finally regained sight like 6 months later. Super fun as a 14-year-old. Weirdly specific, but leaking hydraulic fluid from a small crack in a pressurized manifold. It doesn't shoot out like a gas would, instead looks like droplets, but if you put your thumb over it, it shoots toxic hydraulic fluid into your bloodstream. This is the concept of an injection injury. This can happen from any highly pressurized liquid like say a power washer. Basically, the high pressure shoots bacteria /toxins /foreign material deep into your tissues, which manifests in something much more serious than what appears to be just a deep cut, because the chance for serious infection, like amputation needing infection, is quite high. Usually opening up the entire wound and surgically cleaning all affected tissue out is proper treatment to prevent it from spreadings. Walking off the boardwalks at Yellowstone. They have several signs pressing that even though the ground may look normal in those areas, it could be really thin. I've seen people do it anyway. Looks safe not equal to safe. My favorite Yellowstone story comes from a ranger. He had a family that thought bear spray was like mosquito spray and they sprayed themselves. A few ambulances later and they learned the difference. As a maintenance man who found a dead guy today, huffing air duster. Don't do it, kids. Edit, I went to bed and this blew up a little. It's a little messed up cause dude was only 1 year younger than me and honestly a cool dude. Definitely was not expecting that to happen to him, but, well, it happened because of decisions he made. For those concerned about my mental health, I appreciate the concern, so thank you. I'm alright. This is always a thing that can happen in my work, where you have 60 some odd people of various ages and temperaments all living in a place, and you never know if one day 83-year-old Jenkins is gonna croak and you're gonna open it up and he's been there untouched for 2 weeks, or if you're gonna open a place for a concerned fiancé and find a dude clutching a can of duster. I just let concerned parties deal with their stuff and go about my own work. That's the best I can do. For those saying it's obviously dangerous, I may agree with you, but a lot of people don't realize how dangerous it is. My friends used to huff duster when we were out of pot when we were teenagers, and it always scared the shit out of me, but they would always say stuff like it's not like it's heroin or whatever, to minimize concern. They were lucky they weren't this guy. He also had no idea he was gonna take that huff and that would be it for him until his fiancée found him 18 hours later. Not checking / changing the tires on your car. Someone back me up on this. You can't just drive around with the same tires on forever. Eventually you'll end up doing donuts in the middle of a wet interstate because your back tires lost traction. Texting co-workers after you've been drinking. Garage door springs. People don't realize just how much tension those things are actually under. Never repair a garage door yourself unless you know exactly what you're doing. The stored energy in them is enough to break bones and sever limbs. Garage door springs. I DIY a lot of things, but after reading about door springs I'll let the professionals handle it. When I was buying my house, the inspector went through and gave me tips on how I could fix up some of the issues he found. Mostly stuff like you can prevent mildew by lining the crawl space with more plastic, and if you put more insulation here it'll cut down on your electric bill. Then he got to the stiff garage door spring. Whatever you do, don't try to fix that on your own. Don't even think about it. It'll take your arm off. My dad lost part of his nose to one of them. Doctor said if he had been an inch closer he would probably have died. Over-the-counter medicines. Just because you can get something without a prescription does not mean it's safe in all cases or in high doses. Jumping on a trampoline worked for years. A trampoline fun zone place opened up in our city. Suddenly it accounted for like 10% of our traumas, mostly just broken arms and legs, but still, I, a grown-ass adult, broke a toe at one of those places, not while jumping, but while walking only socked near one of their metal benches. Somehow I stubbed the shit out of it and couldn't walk, lol. Felt real dumb about that one. We used to jump off the roof of my neighbor's porch, hit the trampoline, flip onto the 4-foot pool. None of us are dead and I don't know how. Giving grapes to dogs. They're quite toxic. Onions and xylitol, a sweetener, too. Edit, since this got a few upvotes, I'm gonna add the rest of the stuff people have mentioned for reference: chocolate, alum family of plants, garlic, onions, shallots, chives, lilies, azaleas, rhododendrons, unripe tomatoes, avocados, currants, grapes, and nuts. Hope all your pups stay healthy and happy. Edit 2, also, don't freak out if your dog does happen to get into one of these. Research the dosage specific to your dog's weight and call a vet / poison control if you're worried. A little bit of chocolate won't kill a dog, but still be careful.